Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right. Good morning, Las Vegas. Welcome. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro on a Wednesday. Glad you could join us. Man, I took a sick day yesterday. I'm glad I didn't take the day off today because we got a lot of breaking news to get to. Across the table, it is J.D. Sharp and Chris Wynn joining us on a Wednesday as well. And I have to immediately start with the breaking news, and then I'm going to run down what we're doing the rest of the show today. But this is shocking to say the least. I haven't seen one member of the media in this town that covers the Vegas Golden Knights on a regular basis that isn't as shocked as I am. The news breaking that Vegas Golden Knights head coach Gerard Gallant has been fired. The Vegas Golden Knights making it official this morning in a statement, and you're not going to believe who they hired. I mean, this is shocking as well. They hire basically our rival's former head coach, former from the San Jose Sharks, Peter DeBoer. What's really shocking about this, and we'll get everybody's response to it, to me, my initial reaction was, what? I know that they've been on a little bit of a skid on the road. They haven't playing their best hockey. Year one, year two were beyond extremely successful. They're still a playoff team this year. They're still a winning hockey team. So it leads me to believe a couple things. And again, this is speculation. Nobody within the Vegas Golden Knights media that covers this team knows why exactly this happened. But I can give you my opinion on it, and my opinion of it is this. I believe there's some friction. There had to be something going on within the Knights organization and Gerard Gallant. This isn't just about wins and losses, because it can't be, because it couldn't be justified. And we have some statements from, members of the Vegas Golden Knights management, and they're going to be holding a press conference coming up in about 25 minutes, so we will be hopefully covering that. But to say that this isn't say that it's shocking is an understatement. And I'm going to tell you something right now, guys, and I want to get your thoughts on this. If this guy, DeBoer, is not able to win immediately, and I mean immediately like this road trip, I'm telling you right now, the Vegas Golden Knights management, they're going to get hammered. Absolutely hammered, and rightfully so. My question is this. Why couldn't you have waited a couple days to do this, during the break? Why do you decide to do it on a road trip when you're not even in town? Why didn't you wait until the break? It makes absolutely no sense to me. If this is the personal reasons or there was friction going on, you have to be able to put that stuff aside, because make no mistake about it, Gallant might have not been great with the media, but he has done nothing short of a phenomenal job in his time here. Phenomenal. Year one, he gets the team to the Stanley Cup Finals. Year two, they probably would have gone to at least the Stanley Cup. In my opinion, they probably would have gone to the Stanley Cup Finals if they get screwed in that series against San Jose. And this year, I know they've been on a little bit of a slide. I understand that. They're still a playoff team. Anything could happen in the playoffs. Maybe wait till the end of the year. But this is insane. This is absurd. Throughout this hour, we're going to take your calls because we want to hear from you, Vegas Golden Knights fans, your thoughts on the Knights firing Gallant. I'm just going to say it right now. I think it's a horrible move, and I think it is a horrible hire. That is my initial reaction to this. We'll take your phone calls at 702-257-5396. We want to hear from you guys out there, the Vegas Golden Knights fans, not members of the media. We want to know what you fans think about this. And by the way, this comes a day after the Vegas Golden Knights announced that ticket prices are going to be going up. So, wow, what a timing. What timing for all this. Again, that number to call, 257-5396. We got J.D. Sharp in studio. We got Chris Wynn in studio. And by the way, before I go to J.D., I want to say this. I want to give him all due credit for this because he's probably the only person in town that thought this. We were talking a little Vegas Golden Knights, I think off the air, and J.D. looks at me and he goes, do you think they're going to fire Gallant? This is when they started to lose some games, and I looked at him and I said, are you effing crazy? I think that's what I said. I said, are you crazy?
And I probably would have said the same thing, right, Brian? To J.D.
I looked at him and I said, there is no – I said this. I got egg in my face, but I'm not the only one. I said, there is no chance in hell they fire Gerard Gallant.
Yeah, you actually said that as soon as I think 2 or 3 days ago when I brought it up again. Here's my thoughts on this. The reason that they fired him in this particular timing, in this on this road trip, they don't have a lot of experience. Bill Foley doesn't have a lot of experience owning a hockey team. I think this is kind of a rookie move, firing him right now. in the middle of a road trip. I agree with that. But is it a shock to me that he was fired? No, because he treats the media really, really poorly. I think that if he treats media poorly, he probably has some friction and some issues with the powers that be on the Knights as well.
Yeah, but JD, you can't
and again, Brian, and I think that the reason that he does treat the media as poorly, or at least as he did, is because he won so much. And when you win that much, you have that latitude. But when you lose games to the Kings and the Sabres, and you're 24-19, and you're 5th in your division, and you may be a playoff team, you may not be. Also, am I shocked they made this move? I mean, the Knights have been more than willing to make trades and to cut loose players. I mean, more than who has made more trades in the NHL than the Knights in the last 3 years?
Okay, with that being said, let me just respond to something quickly.
There's no one that's made as many trades as the Knights have in the last couple of years since they joined the NHL. So I'm not shocked that they made this move because they're not afraid to make moves.
Okay, but in my personal opinion, the way a coach treats the media, Scotty Bowman was not the greatest to the media for years. He's going to go down as one of the best hockey coaches of all time. This to me, this has nothing to do with the way he's treated the media. I think it has a little bit to do with trades, and here's why. Here are some of the rumors I've heard over the course of the last couple of years. Gallant has been against a lot of the moves that they've made with management. Now, that might or might not have had something to do with this. Chris, what do you say?
I have some very poignant opinions on this, but I want to talk. I want to actually send out to you guys General Manager Kelly McCrimmon on Twitter today through the Vegas Golden Knights Twitter feed. Quote, unquote, in order for our team to reach its full potential, we determined our coaching change was necessary. Our team is capable of more than we have demonstrated this season. Also, we would like to thank Gerard and Mike for their service to the Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, Gerard Gallant was also, but Mike Kelly, the assistant coach, has also been let go. They were both instrumental to the success we have enjoyed for our first 2+ seasons, and we will wish them all the best moving forward. I'm chuckling, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. Also, Kelly McCrimmon, we are excited to welcome Peter and his family to the Vegas Golden Knights organization. We look forward to a strong finish to the 2019-2020 season with Peter at the helm and a successful tenure in the seasons to come. There are adjectives that I can use that across the board, and they have been used already here in Las Vegas by everybody out there. Whether it's unreal, whether it's unbelievable, whether it's completely ridiculous, whether it's complete lunacy. This is unreal, to be quite honest with you, Brian and JD. Gerard Gallant, and look, JD, I absolutely respect and understand what you're trying to say. There has to be much more to this than just about Gerard Gallant with the media, Gerard Gallant as record-wise. This has to be something. Let me finish, JD. This has to be something with Gerard Gallant and upper management. It has to be something with George McPhee and Gerard Gallant. There is utterly no reason whatsoever you would let a coach go 2.5 seasons into a expansion franchise. Let me say that again. This is an expansion franchise that went to the Stanley Cup Finals in year 1, that has an over 500 record for the 2.5+ years it's been here. It has, for all intents and purposes, Brian and JD, been a measurement as a gold standard for the NHL. There's been nothing but positive things been said about this organization.
I agree. Let me just make a point to what you just said. You can make the argument in the last 20 years, the last 2 decades,
yes,
what Gallant has done here in 2 years is arguably one of the best coaching jobs in the NHL.
Yes.
And you can make that argument, right?
And in the middle of season 3, Brian and JD, because they're on some type of, I don't care if they've lost freaking 15 games in a row.
Okay, but JD disagrees with us a little bit.
There's still 5 games over 500. Well, he absolutely does.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into it.
Yeah.
But there's still 5. There's still 5 games over 500.
It's a very.
If they're in the playoff race, I don't understand this move whatsoever.
Go ahead, JD.
There's something between McPhee and Gerard Gallant.
Well, I think there's definitely something between McPhee and Gerard Gallant,
yeah.
or
there
Bill,
has to be, right?
Or
yes.
Bill Foley and Gerard Gallant.
There's something going on we don't know.
Something different. But I think that the way he handled that reporter and he walked out of that meeting was indicative of what else has been taking place. I think that means that there is stuff going on behind the scenes.
That's a valid point.
That's a valid point about that.
Like he has some type of pressure that no one really knows about.
Do you think? Let me ask you.
But it's a very hedonistic, what have you done for me lately type of mood by the Knights, move by the Knights. But the trajectory for the team, in my opinion, was negative. And with the prices increasing, and my question is, what if DeBoer starts What if DeBoer starts the next 2 years? We'll say a little under 5. What if he finishes?
Forget about the first 2 years. How about the first 2 weeks?
Okay, no, that's not going to happen.
Speculation.
But I'm saying, let's say they give him a year and a half and he doesn't perform. They don't make the playoffs next year.
They look stupid.
Well, not only do they look stupid, do they fire again? I mean, is it just a constant cycle of new coaches for the Vegas Golden Knights?
I'm going to take it a step further than that. I'm telling you right now, if he doesn't, they're not playing a lot of good teams for the rest of the way on this road trip.
DeBoer is a good coach, by the way.
I'm telling you right now.
DeBoer has no more credibility as a head coach than Gerard Gallant in the NHL by any stretch of the imagination.
I agree.
He hasn't done anything. Peter DeBoer, JD and Brian, Peter DeBoer lost in the Stanley Cup playoffs last year after they were gifted the next round because of that Game 7 against the Golden Knights. What has Peter DeBoer done in the NHL? Any of us that follow the NHL and that cover the NHL and the Golden Knights.
And by the way,
there's no reason Peter DeBoer's a better coach than Gerard Gallant.
I'm just going to say this right now because I've interviewed DeBoer before in person. If you want to find a guy that has maybe less of a personality than Gerard Gallant, you did a great job. This guy is also not great with the media. Okay, this guy is not very long-winded. I hope he treats the media well. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to take it a step further than what JD said. I'm not looking into next year. I'm looking into this year. Let's just say they squeak into the playoffs and they lose in the first round. I'm telling you, the Knights organization, they are going to take a lot of flack for this decision, and they're going to have egg on their face. It starts right now. This guy better win, and the players better respond. I'm curious how the players are going to respond to this. I'm very curious in the next few weeks, but this is surprising.
And here's the stat about DeBoer. He's actually one of the only coaches who has made the Stanley Cup Finals with 2 different teams in his first year coaching that team.
There's got to be some type of positive to hiring the guy.
He is actually a very accomplished coach. And when
I'm telling you, he's not accomplished, though, JD. He hasn't won anything.
How is that not accomplished, Chris? Making the Stanley Cup Finals twice or once with 2 different teams?
They're going to have to put. They're going to put a shiny. They're going to put a shiny light on this, and they're going to try to accentuate the positive by hiring this guy. But the circumstances are absolutely extraordinary, JD. They're extraordinary. You're hiring the coach, okay, who last year benefited because of the lunacy that took place in that Game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They proceeded to lose the very next round. There's a reason why Peter DeBoer got fired in San Jose. He got bounced out in San Jose. There's a reason why.
It sounds like business as usual to me, Chris.
If you're just joining us, if you're just tuning into the Vegas Take on KDW and the breaking news that we are following, the shocking news, there's not one person in the media that saw this coming. I'm talking about people that cover the team on a daily basis. Nobody knew this is coming. What happened? The Vegas Golden Knights have announced that they have fired the head coach, Gerard Gallant, and 2 of his assistants. And we're taking your phone calls on this. We want to know what you guys think out there. What do you think about the firing of Gerard Gallant? I think it's the wrong move. I think it's a huge mistake, and I want to give out the phone number, 702-257-5396. Again, that number if you want to be a part of this conversation as a Vegas Golden Knights fan, as someone who watches games. What do you think about this move? It is absolutely fair, in my opinion, to be critical of this move, and we want to get your thoughts. Again, that number is 257-5396.
And let's be honest, so he gets fired. DeBoer is announced as a new coach within 15 minutes of the firing.
Well, because this was in the works, obviously.
Obviously, this was in the works. Yeah. So is it a shock that Gerard Gallant responded to that report the way he did and walked out of the meeting? No, I'm guessing that he is.
So for people who don't know what you're talking about,
for
people that don't know what you're talking about, this was about a week and a half ago. The Vegas Golden Knights defeated the Philadelphia Flyers at home. Philadelphia Flyers are a pretty good hockey team. And then after the game, Gallant was asked a question, which I thought was a fair question by David Schoen from the Review-Journal, and it was, hey, you guys have struggled against the elite teams in the NHL. It was basically, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but that's basically what the question was. Why is that? And he's right. It was a fair question. And Gallant just ripped this reporter apart, which I thought was very unfair. I didn't like the way Gallant responded. And, perhaps that's the way he was responding to management. Perhaps they were having conversations.
And I'm guessing that is the way that he was responding to management.
And you know what? Unfortunately, when you're management, and look, there have been a lot of great coaches, and not just the NHL, NBA, NFL, a lot of great coaches that have had really volatile relationships with management, but you have to be able to put that stuff aside, and you have to be able to say what is best for the franchise. I find it hard to believe that if you are in the Knights front office, you truly believe in your heart that hiring DeBoer right now and firing Gerard Gallant is the best scenario for this franchise. Let's take some calls. 702-257-5396. Reaction to the Knights announcing just about an hour ago that they have fired head coach Gerard Gallant. Let's start off with Paul. Paul, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. What do you think of all this?
Hey, what's up, Paul?
That's stupid. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You think about it. Now, this guy took an expansion team, and what I said when this team came out and made to the finals and lost, I said that's the worst thing that could have happened, because now they can only go down instead of up. The only way they can have a better season is to win the NHL title. And, this guy should have been given it. He didn't fail. He's not doing great.
Right.
But he didn't fail yet. And, they need – all these franchises need to look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't stand them, but how many coaches have they had? And look at their success.
Yeah.
Stability is what they need.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with ego. I don't think Phil Jackson got along with Reinsdorf, did he?
That is a perfect example, Paul, of what I was just talking about. Phil Jackson did not get along with management. Pat
He did
Riley.
pretty good, though, right?
Yes, Pat Riley, at times when he was the Laker coach, did not get along with management. He won championships.
I think he also was that way with the Knicks, too, right? That's
with
why he ended up
and with the
control of
Knicks.
the Heat.
Jeff Van Gundy won a lot of games for the New York Knicks, didn't get along with management. The list goes on and on, Paul, and that's a great point that you brought up. You have to be able to put this aside. Paul, I hope I'm wrong when I say this, but you can tell me whether you agree with me or not. I think when we're looking at this decision a year from now, they're going to have egg on their face, and it is going to, when we look back on this a year or two, we're going to say, what an awful decision.
If they do or they don't, it wasn't worth the risk, and I think it was wrong. And I think sometimes office people need to stay in the office and coaches need to stay on the ice.
That's a good point, call. Really good call. I appreciate it. Good point, Paul. We appreciate your phone call.
Have a great.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, good call, Paul.
702-257-5396. Let's go to Brian. Brian, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
What's up, Brian?
Hey, gentlemen. I think what happened was the coach talked to Mr. Foley the way you did to that telemarketer before you guys went live on the air this morning, Brian.
How'd you know about that?
Well, it went out live on YouTube.
Oh, okay. That's great. I did not know that.
That's awesome.
I did not know that. That's good to know. That's good to know. Anyway, what do you
Also, are you going to have a live call from jail with Mr. Avenatti today?
We will be talking about Michael Avenatti later, so we really don't want to bring that up right now. We'll be talking it up later in the program. What is your take on this hockey situation?
Boy, it's crazy. I was shocked as you guys are. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had to turn on TV and see what was going on.
I'm not shocked, Brian. I brought this up a couple of times. I'm really not shocked. But I think part of it is the fact that Fleury is definitely in the downswing of his career, and maybe they are attributing the success of that first year and since Gallant has been coach to Fleury just being an exceptional goaltender. Because let's be honest, the defense has not been good this year. The shots have not been good for the Knights.
Number to call, by the way, if you want to be a part of the program, 702-257-5396 is the number to call following the breaking news that the Vegas Golden Knights have fired head coach Gerard Gallant. And I think this is the telling thing of it all. I cover UNLV a lot more than the Vegas Golden Knights. I go to a lot, just about every UNLV game. But don't go to every Vegas Golden Knights game. We don't go to many of the practices. But, when they fired Marvin Menzies, I knew the day before that it was going to happen. It was in the works, and there was speculation a month or two, 3 months, 4 months, even a year before they fired Marvin Menzies at UNLV. We kind of speculated that this could probably happen. Nobody was shocked when she fired Marvin Menzies. There's not one member of media that I've spoken to or that I've seen on social media that says, I told you this was going to happen.
No.
I saw this thing coming. Not one person.
Let's be completely honest here. The biggest part of this story has yet to drop, Brian and JD, okay? The biggest part of this is the relationship between, obviously, McPhee and or Bill Foley, the owner, with them and Gerard Gallant. That is absolutely what's going to come into play here as far as the reasoning behind firing him, because you cannot justify. You can break it down all you want and talk about records and players injured and not injured and playing well and not playing well. We are 2.5 years into a franchise that went to the Stanley Cup Finals in year one, that has an over 500 record. You're not going to make a coaching decision based on a 2, 3, 4, 5 game winning or losing streak. This has absolutely something to do with relationships between the coach and upper management.
And by the way,
or ownership.
I have a quote from Kelly McCrimmon as well. McCrimmon says, quote, "We have a proven, experienced head coach now who we believe can help us achieve our ultimate goal. We are excited to welcome Peter and his family to the VGK organization. We look forward to a strong finish to the 2019-20 season with Peter at the helm." Wow.
proven and experienced head coach, and
That
insinuating
is
that Gerard Gallant is not.
Yeah, that is exactly what that's. But you know what? There's been 7 other coaches fired in the NHL this year. The season is halfway over. So it was if they were going to do it this year, this was the right year to do it because this has happened. There's been a lot of turnover all over the NHL.
I disagree. I don't think you can run your franchise just because
based on other franchises.
Trending.
Yeah.
When listen.
I'm saying they're not going to get a lot of heat for this because a lot of coaches have been fired in the NHL this year.
But let's not overthink this, and I don't think we are, by the way. The bottom line here is this. Nobody can look me in the eye and tell me from that organization that they think this organization is in a better spot now with DeBoer at the helms. Nobody can say that with a straight face.
Have you watched the games this year, Brian? I've watched 5 of these games this year. I'm telling you, the team does not look anywhere as good as it did the last 2 years.
Understandable.
Based on what? Brian, they're 24-19. They're in the middle of a road trip. Fleury is aging. Fleury is not playing
That's
great.
That's not Gallant's fault.
Sabres, they lost to the Sabres and the Kings 2 nights in a row. I mean, they're not playing great. There's a chance that they're not going to make the playoffs, and I'm guessing that
I think they make the playoffs.
I'm guessing that they thought they weren't going to make the playoffs by making this decision. They're 24-19.
JD, it doesn't change.
They're fifth in the Pacific Division, Brian. Why would they make the playoffs at this point?
You're talking about stuff on the ice, JD. It does not change the extraordinary circumstances surrounding all of this story as far as firing Gerard Gallant and then hiring Peter DeBoer. Gerard Gallant hasn't even been back to his office to take his nameplate off of it.
Right.
They haven't even been back in
Chris,
Vegas, and Gerard Gallant's no longer the head coach, but DeBoer is now the head coach 5 seconds later. It is an extraordinary story. And from the onset, your first reaction as someone who's played the sport and followed the sport and covered the sport, and it's just absolutely unreal that these are the circumstances that we're looking at as far as the Vegas Golden Knights are concerned.
And Chris, it's extraordinary, but obviously it's been in the works for probably 2 weeks to a month.
Well, we're speculating. We're going to find out.
So here's the breaking news. We're going to take a break and take your phone calls. The Vegas Golden Knights have fired head coach Gerard Gallant. There's not one person in the media that saw this thing coming. This is shocking. I'm just flat out saying it, as we all are. This is probably not a very good decision, but we're going to take your phone calls on this. 702-257-5396. Your thoughts on the Vegas Golden Knights firing Gerard Gallant, who, in my personal opinion, has done a phenomenal job in the 2.5 years he's been here. The number to call if you want to chime in, 702-257-5396. We're going to take a quick break, and we will get right back to all your phone calls when we come back. This is the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDAWN. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, Chris Wynn also joining us in studio following the breaking news that took place, about an hour or so ago, and that is that the Vegas Golden Knights have parted ways with head coach Gerard Gallant. Shocking to say the least. There are some players in the NHL that are responding to this. None other than if I had to mention Evander Kane. Evander Kane tweeted out a picture of 3 smiley faces, #had to. There are other players around the league that are responding to this, and the reason why this is interesting, and Evander Kane is close to this because this is his former coach, former San Jose Sharks coach Peter DeBoer is now the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. You can also question the timing of this. Why did they decide to do it when they were on a long road trip? Why didn't they wait a couple days until they had a break? Why didn't they do it when they were in Las Vegas? Why decide to fire a coach because they've been on a little bit of a skid? They're still a playoff team. We've seen teams with this record midway through the season that have won the Stanley Cup.
Absolutely.
Okay? Now, I'm not insinuating that I think the Vegas Golden Knights would have gone that far, but what I am saying is NHL is a very fickle sport, and what I mean by that is just because your record isn't 40-10 doesn't mean you're going to win the Stanley Cup. And you've seen teams with, 8 seeds make the Stanley Cup finals before. So it's shocking to me, guys. And we're taking your phone calls at 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call is 257-5396. We have the press conference live right now. This is the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights right now speaking to the media. Here it is.
Do you want to get in on that? Talking about Stoner.
Well, I think with Martin's
Do we not have the audio? That didn't sound really good. Anyway, we're taking your phone calls at 257-5396. When we do have that live audio, we will bring it to you. That sounded absolutely horrible, so we're not going to play that on there.
I really enjoyed that.
But anyway,
that went great.
257-5396 is the number to call. Why don't we go straight to the phone calls? Let's go to Ed. Ed, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What do you think about this decision?
Hi, Ed.
Ed, are you there?
Hello, Ed.
Did we lose Ed? It sounds like there's somebody there. Ed, last chance. All right. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, we're following the breaking news that the Vegas Golden Knights have parted ways with head hockey coach Gerard Gallant. I don't think there's one person in the media. There's certainly not one person in this studio that saw this coming. Even though JD did, raise the question, do you think they could fire him? All right, we're going to go back to the press conference now. Here is a live press conference with the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights. Here we go.
Good afternoon. The Golden Knights organization announced this morning that we relieved head coach Gerard Gallant and assistant coach Mike Kelly from their coaching duties with our team. We would like to thank both men for their contributions during their time here. Together, we shared some real special moments over the course of their time as coaches. We'd also at this time like to welcome Peter DeBoer as the next coach of the hockey club. We're excited with the skill set that he brings to this job, what he can do for our team. With respect to what was behind the decision, as a manager, sometimes you have a feeling that something isn't the way you need it to be or want it to be. We feel we've underperformed a little bit, and certainly that's not to pile out at the feet of Mike and Gerard, but sometimes you feel a change is needed. So that was what went into the decision. Like anything we do, we try to do what we genuinely believe is in the best interests of the Golden Knights organization, and that's what we've done in this case.
It wasn't that long ago you had won 4 in a row, so how long had you contemplated making this decision?
It wasn't a specific block of games or a specific game. It's hard to put into words, I guess, unless you've done these jobs, but it's more just just the feeling that you have that a change might be needed. And I wish I could be more specific than that, but that's really how we felt. We thought about this a lot. It certainly wasn't something that we did in haste or something that we did based on, as you touched on, the recent 4 games. It was a decision that was arrived at over time.
Why Peter DeBoer?
I think Peter's a really good coach. He's had a lot of success in the National Hockey League. Of course, with him working most recently in the Pacific Division, we've had a chance to watch his teams play. I think that his teams are always very well prepared, very well coached. We expect that he'll do a really good job for us. I think he's a very respected coach in the industry.
To have Pete lined up right away, when was the first time you reached out to him?
This is all in the last 24 hours that any of this has gone on, so it came together very quickly, thus the announcement here today.
When you say the team has underperformed, what specifically has not gone as well as you think it should?
Well, again, Jesse, it's hard for me to get into specifics. I think that you've seen consistency issues. I think that's part of it. And again, I can't be more clear that that's not necessarily at the feet of the 2 guys who were relieved today. But I think our team has more to give, and that was what went into the decision.
What element do you think that Peter DeBoer brings that will get you over the top or get you back on track or whatever you're looking for?
Well, I think he's always been a coach that has a lot of respect from his players. I think he relates well with players. He's an intelligent guy. Teams have always been very strong special teams. He's been to the Stanley Cup Finals with 2 different teams. He's enjoyed a lot of success in the National Hockey League as a coach, and I think with this opportunity, he'll continue to do that.
And then assistant coach spot is also open. Do you plan on moving someone into that?
For the time being, we'll bring Peter into our staff and carry on with Ryan Craig, Ryan McGill, and our video coach Tom Cruise.
Do you expect Peter to be here for practice tomorrow?
I believe Peter will be in either late tonight or early tomorrow morning.
You talked about, I don't want to go back to your decision to relieve Gerard, but did you go into this season wondering how this is going to play out, or is it just over the last few months, if you will?
We like a lot of teams, had real high hopes for the year, still have real high hopes for the year. And, we're in
you are listening
unique
to
position where
Kelly McCrimmon.
we're right in the
Can you
mix.
pop that down for a second, please? Thank you. If you're just joining us, we're listening to the Vegas Golden Knights general manager Kelly McCrimmon giving his, I guess you could say, impromptu press conference.
It's just so hard, though, Brian, isn't it? It's so hard to make a justification on something that's so drastic and is clearly obvious.
All right, we're gonna continue the press conference. Here it is. This is general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights, Kelly McCrimmon.
The events that have taken place, and that's where we are today. Thanks, folks.
All right, there you go. It looks like that's the end of the press conference. Boy, that was pretty quick. Okay, let me just highlight some of the things that McCrimmon, the Vegas Golden Knights, said. If you're just joining us, they fired their head coach Gerard Gallant earlier today. You want to talk about being very, very vague in this decision? That's what Kelly McCrimmon. He said he had a feeling. He said there were consistency issues.
Which there
he
were.
said
Which there absolutely were.
a change needed to be made. You don't fire a coach based on a feeling. There's something he's not telling us, okay? Now, if you want to say that, he said it wasn't a block of games. So if it wasn't a block of games and you're not happy with the consistency, boy, I think he's been pretty consistent. The Vegas Golden Knights have been consistently a really good hockey team for 2.5 years. You want to talk about, I'm going to say this right now. I've been covering sports, so have you, Chris. For 20 years, I've been in the media covering all different types of professional teams, okay? Wasn't always in Vegas. I'm going to say this right now.
And
I have
college teams.
and college teams. I have never heard a general manager be so vague after firing a head coach. You want to talk about now, if he said, look, we're not winning hockey games, and yes, this last block of games, started it, I would have said, okay, I think that's an impulsive decision, but at least we're getting into his mind. We are not getting into Kelly McCrimmon's mind at all. He was so vague in that press conference.
Okay, so based on Kelly McCrimmon's press conference and Donald Trump briefing Congress as far as his reasoning behind killing Qasem Soleimani, what's more justified at this point, in your opinion?
I certainly don't want to compare politics and Donald Trump to the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. I just want to focus on this press conference. Am I wrong, guys? You don't think he was vague there?
Oh, 100% he was
Brian,
vague.
You expect to know every single detail always. And if you don't know every single detail always, then it's the wrong decision and it's not justified.
Okay, defend me here, Chris.
Here's the deal.
I expect to know everything?
It's going to get played out here in the next few days as far as the real reason why this happened. Another quick tidbit that was pointed out also on Twitter about 10 minutes ago. This decision apparently by McCrimmon and company, it was made in the last 24 hours. Okay?
I don't believe that at all.
Well, then you're basically justifying how this has become such a mess, JD. This is not something that press conference was extremely general and extremely vague. The real reason why Gerard Gallant is no longer the head coach and Mike Kelly's no longer the assistant is going to be on display in the next few days, maybe even in less time than that.
Listen, you know what?
If the people who cover the team and the people that are the day-to-day beat writers on this team do their job, we are going to find out the real reason why Gerard Gallant no longer is the head coach.
Do you know when you're talking to someone? I'm gonna make a comparison to gambling. You know when you're talking to somebody and they pick lottery numbers or they pick a number on the roulette wheel and maybe they hit, and then you ask them, "Wow, why did you pick that number?" And their response is usually, "I just had a feeling." You got to go with your gut. Or if they have 15 or 16 in blackjack and the dealer's showing a 5 or 6 and they hit, and you say, "What the hell are you doing?" And a dumb gambler will respond by, "I just had a feeling." The same applies here, in my personal opinion, as the general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights. You don't fire a coach because of a feeling. You fire a coach because of results. Now, if you want to argue the fact, like you said, that they haven't been consistent, fine. Let's see what he would have done the rest of the season. Let's see what he would have done in the playoffs, assuming he would have gotten in. But firing this guy midseason, let me tell you something. If they don't make the playoffs, boy, is this Vegas Golden Knights team going to take a lot of heat, man. You want to talk about a coach in the NHL that probably has more pressure on him than anybody in the league right now? It is Peter DeBoer. He is getting into a situation now where the fans are going to be restless. The media is going to be all over him. What does he bring to the table that Gerard Gallant did not bring to the table? I don't understand.
And here's the thing, okay? I'd maybe be able to get on board or understand the reasoning or the rationale if this team was maybe under 500, right? Out of the mix, had no chance to make the playoffs. This is a team that is 5 games over 500. And Kelly McCrimmon comes out and says, I think our team is capable of more than what we've demonstrated this season. What do you want to be? 20 games over 500? You want to be cemented as the best team in the Western Conference 2.5, 3 years into your existence?
JD,
it is absolutely, utterly ridiculous.
But we have to
as
understand
far as the
this.
expectations
Now,
of the town.
Chris, you and I agree.
Yeah.
We know that. JD, I'm going to assume that there are some fans out there that are going to take your side. So where are we wrong?
I've actually had conversations with several fans, just kind of, one time I was at the bank, one time I was at the dentist, just basic conversation. And they're saying, yeah, I think that Gallant is not doing a great job this year. I don't like the way that he handles the media. I don't think he's the right guy for the job. I've had several fans tell me that in just passing conversations. I'm telling you, Brian, Gallant, I think he thought he was untouchable after what he did in year one, and that was outstanding what he did. But you have to say Fleury played outstanding that year.
Here's what I think: a lot of fans were surprised when Gallant got fired in Florida, right? Well, what's wrong?
I was in the middle of my.
Oh, go ahead, finish. I thought you were finished.
How would you think I was finished? At that
Go ahead.
How is it possible that you would think I was finished?
Go ahead.
I'm curious. Like, how did you? In the mid sentence, or mid, we'll call it a borderline monologue. How did it occur to you that I was finished? Like, what made you think that I was actually done?
Why are you so angry? I'm giving you a chance to finish. I'm sorry if I interjected.
I would just like to know.
Go ahead. All right, we'll take a break.
Let's
take a quick break. We'll be back right after
He
this.
didn't know that you're done.
No, we'll take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Or
You're listening to the Vegas Take right here, Sharp and Shapiro. We're following the breaking news that Gerard Gallant has lost his job as the Vegas Golden Knights head coach. We're taking your phone calls at 702-257-5396. Also, we have a lot of other things to get to, including the WNBA, a new CBA deal in effect with the WNBA. Ariel Chambers from the Bleacher Report is reporting on this. I'm going to tell you why I disagree with it completely. It has something to do with the fact that the WNBA is not making money. We'll talk about that. Alex Cora, the Red Sox have fired him, and Pete Rose is responding. We will get to that as well. And, there was a pretty big debate last night, a big Democratic debate, and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren went at it. We'll talk about that. But coming up next, Michael Avenatti was arrested last night. This is a guy that has been on our show every week probably for the last, 5 or 6 months, something like that. You're going to get our thoughts on this, and we're going to talk about it, even though there's not a lot of information. So we'll get to that next. Our thoughts on Michael Avenatti, a guest that has been on our show every week for the last 5 or 6 months. We'll get to that coming up next and give you the details, or as much as we can coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.